All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm Beverly Hall, and I teach second grade in Putnam County. I think I've taught every grade but third grade, so kindergarten through 8th. I've been involved with Ag in the Classroom for quite a while now, and I use it in class and also in the after-school program. So the first thing that I'll kind of be going over some of the things that's in your tub, some of the different items that are in there, but one of the main things I want is I'd love for you to get out this one here. It says Ag in the Classroom, your alphabet soup activity book. See if you can find that inside your tub. I'll give you a few minutes to find it. All right, now one of the first things in there is one called the Apple Alphabet. So it's a great activity, but I kind of use it as a guide, you know, like in September, I usually try to work with apples and Johnny Appleseed and do different things with that. So if you're a pre-K teacher that's Zooming in right now, I wanted to share with you one of the activities that you can do with some of the smaller kids. If you had been with me on a face-to-face workshop, I had these packets already made up. And if you would like one of my packets that's got the materials in it, we'll be glad to mail it to you. But actually, when this is over with, Christy is going to scan the original sheets for you to actually be able to make the copies. So you're welcome to have one of these. You just need to let Chris or Christy know your mailing address, or you can just use the templates that we're going to scan in and send to you later. And so in order to make my trees and to talk about apples, and it doesn't matter if it's preschool or not, all the kids like making things. We adults like making things. So I talk about trees that are in springtime, and they have, I don't know if you can see, but these are pink, and I just took pink and white tissue paper, and you just tear off a little corner and just, you know, make them fuzzy so they kind of look like a blossom for in the springtime. And then of course you talk about how they continue to grow, and then the apple blossoms then become apples. And you're going to have green apples that before turn into red apples. And I just use little round stickers for the apples. It's hard to see. Yeah, don't forget, if you have any questions as I'm going through here, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and Christy's off to the side to help answer any of our questions. Another activity I do with the apple activities is I have the kids, I bring in different apples and let them taste test them, and then they get to pick which apple that they like, and we graph all the different apples. So there's many ways that you can always include accurate agriculture within your classroom and not take away from what's already on your curriculum. That's one of the things I like the best about Ag in the Classroom is you can include standards while talking about agriculture and have hands-on fun activities for the kids. That activity actually came from a website from Illinois' Ag in the Classroom. So if you want the further directions. Let's see. Along with the apples, you can teach the children the apple chain. There's lots of different apple chains. Now, when I taught kindergarten, I thought it would be fun to help them practice writing. And so I made them write what each item was. That took forever. So I decided, that wasn't a good idea. So I ended up putting the information on the actual different items itself. And I, printed it off on there. But this here is supposed to look like an apple. And inside here is a pocket. And as you pull out each item, it tells the story. Johnny Appleseed was famous for planting apple seeds during the 1800s. And then that's the seed, starts with the seed. Then you pull it out. The next thing tells you it takes about 15 years for a tree grown from a seed to make an apple. So there we go. Have the seed, planted the tree, and it has to grow and grow. And then when it gets to, it's ready, it'll have those pink or white blossoms. And this says blossoms are either white or pink, and they appear on the tree in the spring. Of course, this little guy is very important. Actually, it's not a guy, it's a girl. We raise honey, or we raise bees, we harvest honey, whatever it's called. We have honeybees at my house. And the drones actually do not have a stinger, and their only purpose is to mate with the queen. So the one that does all the work is the females, the worker bees. And they have to, they will pollinate the tree, and then you start getting a green apple, and the green apple grows until you get an apple. So this is an apple chain. That's a fun activity to do. Again, you can find that online. Let's see. Moving right along here, we're going to flip over to the bee book. Angela made reference to the bee man. It says here, where does honey come from and what is a drone bee? Inside the book is very nice pictures, gives you great information about the bees, accurate ag information. And that's what we try to strive for, is finding books like the, what was that? The movie came out called the Bee Movie. It has the men being all the workers, but actually that's not true. It's not a very good movie, not accurately anyways. Okay. Now, you can go online. I believe you can go online and you can find some of these pictures. So here's a picture of a farmer's market, which I like to show the children. This is what the farmer's market looks like when we have bees. Let's see, it's up there. I'm not sure if you're able to see what I'm trying to show you. Right there. My angle looks pretty clear. Yes, I can see. Thank you, Tammy. Now this is what it looks like without our bees. Not a lot of food. And the kids are very fascinated by, ooh, you know, they want to talk about the fruits or what they like to eat. And then I show them this. Basically, we have a few potatoes. Pretty sad situation. Then we go ahead and we talk a little bit about, I talked to them about the different bees. And I was able to, fortunate enough to go to this lady's workshop that she did about bees. And I learned a whole lot. And her saying was, black and shiny makes you whiny. Black and shiny are actually our wasps. Wasps do not pollinate. I'm not sure what their purpose is, but except to aggravate. And they like to go and rob the food from our honeybees. And that's why there's so many workers in a hive, because the workers help protect the hive and they help protect to keep these from going into the hive. And then I talked to them about the yellow jackets. I talked to them about the stingers. Now, black and fuzzy is so lovely. So if you see a bee flying around you and it looks kind of fuzzy, just leave it alone. Just kind of, you know, shoo it away. It won't bother you. It doesn't want to bother you because their stinger is different than a wasp stinger. A wasp can sting you multiple times. If a bee stings you, they know they're going to die. So the minute they sting you, they die, and that's the end of life for them. So they really don't want to sting you. And this is very similar to what our hives look like. And then I show the children this, and we talk about this. Here is an example of the wasp. I don't know if you can see. See it? It's very straight, and they can sting you multiple times. Whereas a bee has the barbs on the end, so once it goes inside you, and they pull out. Part of their abdomen comes with the stinger, and the stinger will be left inside you, and then they die. So they really don't want to sting you. So bees are our friends. They really are. And since we're not allowed to put, I know Angela talked about earlier, some of you might want to try to get some hives at school, which would be great. You have to be careful if kids are allergic to it. But like I said, the bees don't really want to sting you or the children. And if a child would happen to get stung, we're not allowed as teachers to put any kind of medicine on kids. But you can take, like they're showing you here, you just take and you just flick that stinger off, and then keep this little bitty traveling size toothpaste in your drawer. And if you put that on the stinger, it helps to stop the venom, and it stops the sting. So anyways, and then we played this little game, and I have the kids try to guess. And if we were face to face, I would ask you to guess, you know, which one is the bee, which one is the wasp, which one is, you know, the next row, wasp or bee, wasp or bee, and so. And the correct answer is, there you go. So just remember, black and fuzzy is so lovely. Black and shiny makes you whiny. All right, now, she talked about making butter, or making butter. And in my classroom, we do make butter, but I read them this book first. Once again, I'm not sure you can see. This is called The Cow and Patrick O'Shannon's Kitchen. And it's by Diana Pritchard. So you might want to write that down. It's a great book. Ever wonder where your breakfast comes from? Patrick O'Shannon never gave it a second thought until one morning when he found a cow in the kitchen. This eye-opening romper will have kids of all ages laughing out loud, and maybe asking their own questions about how those chicken fingers and pudding snacks arrived at the lunch table. This is a charming, not icky at all introduction to the question, where does food come from? And no, the answer is not the supermarket. So, I'm going to show you a few pictures. I'm not sure you can, someone, huh?
You have to turn it forward because that's a good
that. Okay. So he wakes up and there's a cow right there in the middle of his kitchen. He doesn't understand why there is a cow. And the book goes through, and then his dad wants a couple of eggs, so he goes to the refrigerator to find some eggs, and lo and behold, guess what's in there? You can see them. That's right. There's chickens inside his refrigerator. Where do eggs come from? Chickens. And then, let's see, then his dad needs, well, he wants butter. And of course, you know, he has to milk the cow. He gets that milk. And it uses very good vocabulary words. Then the dad asks him we need some syrup. Of course, the chicken and the cow happen to follow him as he turns around in the kitchen, and lo and behold, there's a tree. And first we get maple syrup from a maple tree. And there it is. Excellent book. So you can come up with a lot of different activities using this book. And it's a cute book. Anyone have any questions? You will be receiving pictures like this, like this that Christy will scan, and it'll be available for you later. There's accurate information of what all the different items are called. And then of course, more information about bees. I'm not sure. Okay. Then let's see, moving over, we go past C, go past the letter D in your book. Page 12 is the E for excellent. And Angela talked about the eggs in the vinegar, and that's on that page. And then when I get over to letter E, I think about earth. And so you will also get a piece of paper explaining to you about agriculture is a cycle. And I have in a baggie different colored beads. I don't know if you can see them. Okay. So there's different colored beads. And then depending on the age level, sometimes I just use a pipe cleaner. Sometimes I have yarn for the kids, and they make earth bracelets, or they can make agriculture bracelets, because agriculture is a cycle. And you will get a copy of this. But the clear, sometimes I let the kids, we talk about it. Sometimes I let them pick out their own color beads, or I already have the colored beads, and then I explain to them. So in this case, I did clear. The clear beads stood for the people. The blue bead is, of course, water. The green beads is for plants. The brown is for soil. Orange or red is for day. Black is for night. White is for air, and yellow is for the sun. And the little information I give them, that people move in cycles. The earth provides us with what we need to survive. We must take care of our valuable resources. Water is a cycle. Water rains on the land. It collects in oceans, rivers, lakes, and streams. It then evaporates, rises into the sky, and collects in clouds. The clouds become heavy with water. Rain falls down to the land again. And I won't finish reading the rest of this to you, but I just wanted you to see, you will receive a copy of this and a copy of this. Any questions? I'm gonna keep moving right along. Now, Angela talked about the gardening in a glove, which I have here, and it's labeled, this would be your lima bean, this is your kidney bean. And sometimes I find this a little more time consuming, difficult. The littler kids, it's just a lot of work. That's what I found, teaching kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. So I've ended up using a different activity instead, but let's see, where is it? Bear with me. I read this book. It's called Seed, Sun, and Soil by Chris Peterson. Now, in your local Farm Bureau office, we have what they call the Ag Literacy Library, and you should be, if you don't own this book or you don't have a way of getting a copy of this book, you should be able to go to your local Farm Bureau office and get this out of the Ag Literacy Library. And inside the Ag Literacy Library, along with this book, is also a teacher's manual, which can give you more ideas, more information, and there should be some posters that go along with it. So this is a great book, and I love reading this book, and we can talk about soil, we can talk about seeds, and with that then, and I'm finished with that, sometimes I'll follow through and we talk about soybeans. I was originally from Illinois, and the crops that were grown around my home was corn, soybeans, and wheat. So there was a lot of soybeans in my area, and so I try to talk to the kids about that. But instead of having the garden in the glove, I do what we call a beanie baby. And I just go to Hobby Lobby or Walmart and get these small jewelry bags. And I do put a cotton ball in here and I let them wet it. Sometimes I have a round bowl with eyedroppers. And that's another thing to play with. So they can, and it's good skill for them to try to use an eyedropper if they don't know how to do that. And then they put just a few drops from the eyedropper in this bag, and then I put in a seed. And then I already have a hole in it. I give them the yarn, and they thread it, and then they get to wear it. And I call it their beanie baby. And there will be directions sent to you also about your Beanie Babies. And the kids love wearing their Beanie Babies. And the seed will grow usually fairly quickly. You can watch it, you know, sprout. And if they keep adding water to it sometimes, then it'll start to rot. And then sometimes it comes in black looking, and keep wearing it back and forth to school. And so that usually goes on for about 2 weeks, but it's a lot of fun. And the kids enjoy it. And I think they learn to appreciate more how seeds are grown and such. So let's see. I don't know if I'm going too fast. Inside your tub, you should have a new book called Chuck's Ice Cream Wish. This is another great book. Can you see it, maybe? Okay. Chuck's Ice Cream Wish. This is a new book. You should find this in your tub. And I believe that you will also have in your tub the teacher's manual. Wonderful activities and ideas along with this. And I have made ice cream in a bag in my classroom, and the kids absolutely love it. So don't be afraid to try any of these activities. I have a wonderful principal, and he enjoys all of the different ideas and activities I try with Ag in the Classroom. And we actually have a school garden, which I was able to get through the grant from Farm Bureau, and I receive it every year. And he won't let me call it a school garden. He makes me call it our Ag Lab. And with it being an Ag Lab, he says that's where we're allowed to make mistakes. We can watch it grow, learn our mistakes. And I like that. I really like that he calls it an Ag Lab. So don't be afraid to try any of these activities in your classroom. Maybe it don't work the first time, try it again, you know, or reach out to any of us here at Farm Bureau and ask us, you know, I did this, what did I do wrong? You know, maybe you didn't have enough ice, or maybe you put too much salt. You know, we can try to help you out with that. Yeah. So in your book, you'll have Kick the Can, which is K, and then you also have it in the bag. I think it's rock and roll, and it's in the letter R. Now, another activity along with the Beanie Babies is I'll go to my co-op, and when the seeds are out of date, they'll just give you the old seeds. They may or may not germinate, but I'm not getting the seeds to try to plant. I want the variety of seeds that they're ready to get rid of. And we talk about, this is great math, even for the littlest ones. So we talk about the sizes, we talk about the colors, we talk about the shapes, we talk about just anything that they want to talk about. So in the after school program, we did online because of the COVID. And so I pulled out all the seeds. And of course, you know, since we've done pumpkin, I had earlier in the year, the first seed that I pulled out from the online class that I did after school, they could see, I'm not sure you can see this right there. And I asked the students that had Zoomed in with me for the after school class, I said, what seed does that look like? And they got all excited and they go, we know, we remember, Mrs. Hall, that's a pumpkin. And I said, no, that seed's not a pumpkin. It's in the same family, but it's not a pumpkin seed. It's actually zucchini. It's a zucchini seed. And then we had a good time talking about the variety of different seeds, and they were just fascinated as to how little some of the seeds were. Of course, I also bring in radishes, and I make, you know, I offer the kids an opportunity to try a radish. You'd be surprised how many children have never ate a radish, don't know what a radish is. And so it's a lot of fun. But all I did was I took the leftovers from a die cut machine like this. And then you can glue it on a back, or they can trace it. And then they can decorate and do seed art. And little kids like that. They like playing in the glue. Another thing we like to do is we go outside. We look at the leaves. We do leaf drawings. We do leaf rubbings. And then we do bark rubbings. I talked to them about the different trees. We always try to go and find the Tennessee State tree, talk about the bark on it. And there is a book. No, I don't think I have the book, but I do believe that it's in your ag library, the ag literacy library, and I think it's called Tell Me Tree. I don't think I own that book. I think I'm always having to go borrow it. So, and in a few minutes, Angela, nope, not Angela, Jennifer, she's going to do the dirt cups. And with the dirt cups, oh, it's okay, it's okay. It's the dirt cups is letter M. It's called on this here is called your mud pies, but we end up calling it like dirt cups, dirt in a cup. And it talks about the different layers of the soil, which can also be done with the other book that I read to you. Let's see, next one. Okay. So in September, I usually do apples. And October, we have a 2-week fall breaks. But I also start in with my pumpkins. So in with the pumpkins, these are 2 of the books I usually use. The story of a garden, pumpkin circle, George Levison. Now, I believe that this is in the Ag Literacy Library, but if it's not, you actually can Google this and the person reads the story on YouTube. So if you don't have a copy for this book, you can go to YouTube and it's already on there. It does a pretty good job of reading it. Anyways, look at all the pumpkins. And it shows the cycle of the pumpkin. It explains there's different kinds of pumpkin seeds because there's a variety of different pumpkins. And it shows you there's the seed, there's all the roots. Now it's sprouting up, lots of leaves. Look how big the leaf is. Just a really fun book. So when we get done reading this book, then we do an activity a lot like the pumpkin or the apple. Inside here is our pumpkin, and I didn't draw it on mine, but I give the kids, if they want to turn this into a jack-o'-lantern, they can. They're just not allowed to make any scary faces. And then inside here, again, you'll need colored paper. We are not allowed to have construction paper going through our copiers. So I try to find cardstock that is as close a color as I can. So here we start with our seed. The seed will grow, and then it grows a vine. I try to have green so that it's growing on a vine, but today I got white. Then it has leaves, and the leaves will grow and they get bigger, and then all of a sudden, then you get a blossom. Now, if you I haven't done it yet, but I have been told by a friend of mine that lives up in North Dakota, when she would do this with her students, and she's also an art teacher, instead of using this for the blossom, she would actually take a coffee filter and let the kids put yellow and orange markers all over it. And then she would put this on, and she says it actually looks more like a pumpkin blossom versus this paper one. So I'm excited to try that this fall. Then your blossom will die off, and then it starts to grow a green pumpkin. And the green pumpkin will grow and grow and grow until it turns orange. And then it just grows until it gets to be a very large pumpkin, and you can go pick it. So that is another cycle that we talk about. Then the next book I love to read to the kids is this book right here. It says, How Many Seeds in a Pumpkin? So then I go and I purchase 2 or 3 pumpkins, and we talk about them. We do the circumference of them. We weigh them. We discuss, will they sink or float? And then I say, how many seeds do you think are inside that pumpkin? So they make all their wild guesses, and they don't know. But this is a great book. Inside this book, it says how many seeds are in a pumpkin. Robert is the tallest kid in class. Beth said the biggest pumpkin has the most. 1 million seeds. Eleanor, who always sounds as if she knows what she's talking about, is sure that the medium pumpkin has 500 seeds. And Charlie, the smallest kid, he doesn't have a guess. What will Mr. Tiffin's class discover when they open up the pumpkins? It says, find out in this playful and surprising story, which features simple counting from 3 empty pumpkins to 20 gooey hands to, of course, lots and lots of seeds. And so my kids, they get to open up the pumpkin and they get to count them. And when they're all finished, you know, I collect up all the seeds again, and then I wash them thoroughly, and then we bake them. And then they get to eat them. So anyways, Molly had a good idea. She decided that, you know, maybe we can count by 2s. Then they decided they want to count by 5s, and then they're going to count by, 10s. So here they are, brainstorming together as to how they can count, come up with an idea. It shows the children working together as team players, doing their counting. Here's the 2s club. Looks like a lot of seeds. This is the 5s club. And the 10s club. Of course, Charlie was the only one with the little pumpkin, and he had the 10s. It's in their ag literacy. Robert looked at the seeds in front of Charlie. Robert kind of likes to pick on Charlie. You don't have a whole lot, he said. He's a taller boy. He has a tendency to want to pick. And so they start doing the math. And as it turns out, there are 350 seeds in my little pumpkin, said Charlie. That means it has the most of all. So my children are like, but it was the smallest pumpkin. Yep. Here's my favorite part in the whole story. Mr. Tiffin told the class to gather round. You can never tell just how many seeds are in a pumpkin until you open it up, he said, but there may be some clues. Take a good look at these pumpkins. And the class did. So you see the pumpkins? One's little, one's big. The class did. Charlie's is darker orange, said Anna. And it has more lines on the outside, said Robert. Yep, said Mr. Tiffin. For each line that's on the outside, there is a row of seeds on the inside. That's good to know, said Eleanor. And the longer the pumpkin grows, the more lines it gets, he added. Its skin gets darker too. So Mr. Tiffin knew which pumpkin was going to have more seeds, but the children had to discover for themselves. And then, like I said, I love this story. Great ag information, cute little whimsical story. And there's math in it, there's reading in it, great book. Yeah, that's October. Then we have like spring break, or fall break, sorry, 2 weeks of fall break. Then we come back, so we're at the tail end of October, you know, Halloween, you know, fall parties are there. But we've already done a little bit of talking already about our pumpkins and such. And then we go into November. And in November, it's getting darker. We can't go out to the ag lab much. And so then I start in with this. Because I believe November is either peanut month or it's peanut butter month. It's one of the two. So we start talking about peanuts, and I bring in fresh peanuts, and we bring in grapes, and we have some small bowls and some spoons, and I also have a very small food processor. And we put the peanuts in there, and we start making, I mean, just let it, you know, do its thing, and then we get peanuts, and they get to see. Peanut butter actually comes from peanuts. Grape jelly, they realize they get to smash up all the grapes that I put in the bowl for them. They get to take turns doing that. And then they realize once they keep mashing and playing with it, that it's not grapes, it's actually can turn into grape jelly. But this book goes through peanut butter, jelly, and bread together. They make a sandwich. But where does peanut butter come from? And how is it all made? And how does it grow? So this is a great book to read with the kids. There is also a teacher's resource guide that goes along with it. You need peanut butter, jelly, and bread to make PB&J sandwich, right? But you need grocery carts and bakeries. You need trucks, tractors, and seeds. This fun exploration begins with a finished sandwich and journeys backwards to supermarkets, factories, farmers' fields, and all the other places where your food is sold, transported, prepared, and grown. From the farm to your very own kitchen. See what it takes to make your PB&J hooray. So we have the peanut butter and jelly in the classroom along with bread, and they get to make their very own PB&J. And we use the plastic knife, plasticware, for them to make their own sandwich. And a lot of the kids will say, I've never done this before. And I'm like, well, just, you know, it's your sandwich. Go for it. And they would like for me to help them, but I tell them, nope, it's their sandwich. And they can put as much peanut butter on they want. Of course, you do need to make sure that you're watching for peanut allergies. Another one of my favorite books when we're talking about peanuts is The Boy Who Changed the World. The Boy Who Changed the World reveals the incredible truth that everything you do matters. What you did yesterday, what you do today, and what you will do tomorrow. Every choice you make, good or bad, can make a difference. In this engaging tale, best-selling author Andy Andrews shows children that every action, however big or small, can have a ripple effect around the world. Now, I would love to read this to you, but I can't read the whole thing. We don't have enough time today. This is an excellent book. As you get to reading, it says, I want to tell you a story about the boy who changed the world. His name was Norman Borlaug. Norman lived on a farm in Iowa. Then it goes through, and then it tells you, you know, he played in the cornfields. Right then and there, Norman decided he was going to change the world. Well, Norman learned everything he could about plants, and when he was grown, he worked for a man named Mr. Wallace. Mr. Wallace said, Norman, I want you to use what you've learned in school to make special seeds. So it goes through, and then it starts, I want to tell you about a boy who changed the world, and his name was Henry Wallace. So it works its way backward. Henry, father, was a professor, and one of his students was a young man named George. Henry loved to go with George on expeditions in the countryside. George knew more about plants than anyone Henry had ever known. And then the story goes on. It says, remember, Henry, God made you to make a difference, and I believe you will. Henry learned so much about plants that he grew up to be the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture. Then it starts going back a little farther. I want to tell you a story about the boy who changed the world, and his name was George Washington. Not the George Washington president. He lived long before the boy George Washington in this story. George's father, this George, died before he was born, and his mother died when he was very young. But the good news is that a nice couple named Moses and Susan Carver adopted George. And I want to show you this picture. So have you guessed it yet? Sure enough, George Washington Carver changed the world. He became a teacher and an inventor. For instance, he invented 266 things from the peanuts that we still use today. From the sweet potato, he invented 88 things that we still use today. So there's a picture of him. So then the story goes, now let's not forget about his dad. I wanted to tell you a story about a boy who changed the world. His name was Moses Carver. He lived on a farm with his mom and dad way up north. Moses pulled nails out of some of the old barnwood while his pet rooster Buzz watched. Moses, his mother called, what are you doing? Goes on. When Moses grew up, he married a lady named Susan. Together with a few workers, they managed a farm. They were very happy. But one night, some men tried to hurt them. Outlaws called the raiders rode into the farms. They burned down Moses's barn and kidnapped some of the workers. And one of the people they kidnapped was a little boy named George. And the story goes on to tell you that George was adopted by Moses. So George Washington Carver was actually raised by a white family. And so if Moses hadn't saved George from the outlaws, George wouldn't have grown up to take Henry on walks in the forest. And then Henry wouldn't have become interested in plants and later hired Norman. I don't know if you can you see this maybe? Okay. And without Henry's idea, Norman wouldn't have developed the special seeds that grew into super plants. And without the super plants, 2 billion people would have nothing to eat. So this, again, is another one of my absolute favorite books. Okay. Yeah, so that covers peanuts. And then I haven't done anything with the letter O yet, which I need to do that. And then for P, we have Fruity Play-Doh. And my friend, she's going to do it. She's pointing for me to do it. She's going to do it. I'm going to let her do it. Now, another idea or suggestion, when you are out and about, you see calendars that have been already marked down. I have a tendency to look through calendars, and if I can find a calendar that has some pictures that is very ag related, accurate looking pictures, I'll purchase the calendar. I mean, it's out of date. They got it marked down, and then use, great resources. You hang them up in the classroom. I've got another one somewhere in here. I'll show you. That I use for apples. Beautiful picture of an apple blossom. So I put that up when we're talking about apples. Now, when I showed you the pumpkin and all of the chain, the pumpkin chain and all these pieces, you will receive the template. Chrissy's going to scan that in, so you will receive that. I made it easy. I think I made it easy for you. So I fixed it so that all the pieces, for example, that need to be brown are brown. Let's see. All the pieces that need to be green are all on the same sheet, and so forth. Another thing we do during pumpkins is we make pumpkin pie in a bag. I usually do that after we come back from fall break. That can be found on your the matrix of the National Ag in the Classroom. We'll share that information with you later. Another fun project, was it in there? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, it's in your alphabet. Another fun project to do is, so you've got that old, it's over with, pumpkins are over. So my friend from North Dakota, she's done this many times, and you will get a copy of this. And it's called Earth Day Pumpkin Project. So, say maybe October 31st would be a fun fall thing to do with your fall projects. On such and such a date, our science class filled Jack, the jack-o'-lantern, with several objects made out of different materials. Then we dug a large hole and we buried it in the playground garden space. In the spring, we will exhume the pumpkin. I predict that. Now, if you look, I'm going to try to get really close so that you can see what's in her pumpkin. Can you guys see? She's got like a little pumpkin gourd. She's got one of those Crustables in there. She's got a Diet Coke can. She's got a Crustable in the plastic. So she takes and then she buries, all the odds and ends things. And then they, the kids can write, or you can do it as a class, maybe keep it on a poster. What's in the pumpkin? They list everything that's in the pumpkin. And then they have to predict what will be there when they pick, dig it up in the springtime. And she said, of course, we know the Diet Coke can's still going to be there, but she says, out of all the other stuff that's in there, she asked me, she says, Beverly, what do you think is still left in that pumpkin? And I said, the plastic and the Diet Coke. And she goes, and I said, what? And she said, that Crustable did not change. And that was an eye-opener. And I thought, wow, there must be a lot of preservatives in that Crustable. So I'm excited to try that this year. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to go back to the apple. Another thing for preschool or even kindergarten, because I made this in when I was teaching kindergarten. I just cut out, you know, a nice apple. And I worked with, this one happens to be the letter sounds that we were working on at the time. I don't know if you can see inside the little window. I've also used this little window for the sight words. And so, you know, versus it being a rocket man or a race car, I try to use things that I'm trying to practice on. I try to get items that are agriculture, because without agriculture, we won't eat. And of course, you know, we do fun things. This is put up in the window. I don't do it every year, but there's another fun book that I have, and we have made cheese in the classroom before. I believe that this is in the Ag Literacy Library. It's called Extra Cheese, Please. Engaging from start to finish, clearly written text and many full color photos. Takes reader into the barn, into the tank truck, and through the elaborate process of making cheese at the factory. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get a copy of the cheese that I have used and made in my classroom. Now, we don't make pizza in my classroom, but I do grow eggplant out in the ag lab. And so I'll bring in eggplant, and I have a oven, one of those easy ovens, toaster oven, I guess. And so we put the mozzarella cheese, and read this book, we talk about cheese, and we put the mozzarella cheese, and sometimes we put the spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce on it, and the kids eat eggplant pizza, and they like that. Okay, tops and bottoms. I bring in a variety of, oh, my time's up. All right, so tops and bottoms. I believe that that is in the ag tops and bottoms, if you're not familiar with it. I bring in a variety of vegetables that has it all. Of course, you know, the hare does all the work while the bear sleeps. Bear has lots of money and lots of lands, and he's lazy. The hare has nothing but a hungry family, and he's smart. Hare is sure there's a way to share Bear's wealth. So he and Mrs. Hare cook up a plan. When Hare hops on down the road to Bear's place and proposes that the bear donate land, Hare handles labors, they split the crop in half. All Bear has to do is choose which half he wants, tops or bottoms. And in the middle, of course, he says, you know, he wants both tops and bottoms. Of course, what does Hare do? He grows corn. But I'll bring in a variety of food. And then we have these, I made them. And the kids have them on a stick, like a painter stick. And so when I hold up a vegetable, you know, they have to show me, is it tops or bottom? So this is just a cute little activity. Or they can stand if they think it's tops, or they can squat if they think it's the bottom. But anything that gets the kids up and moving, you know, their hands are always doing something. They've got to stay busy. And you always want to make sure that ag in the classroom is a lot of fun. All right. We do grow enough stuff in the garden that we have, when school starts back, I should have enough stuff in there. We have cilantro, we have tomatoes, we have peppers, we have onions, and we try to make salsa. So our back to school night, this has been a great garden this year. And I'm not sure that we're going to get to do a back to school night this year, and I'm going to have all the salsa. Maybe I could sell it. Okay, in your book, it talks about a grain train. This is a really cute activity that you can find off the National Ag in the Classroom. I'm not really sure exactly which state came up with this idea, but you can get a small carton, or even the large one might work better, because I have a terrible time getting this put back in here. But here's your cereal. Okay, so how do we get from the field to this cereal? And in here, once again, is, so it's going to start with the seed. Whoops, this way. The seed's going to grow into a corn. And then I asked the kids, what's that? They've not seen that in my area. Now, of course, in Illinois, the kids knew this is a combine. And the front out here is a corn head. That's what you have to have. The different fronts of a combine will have different mechanical pieces depending on what you're harvesting. If you're going to harvest soybeans and wheat, it looks completely different. And then what's left after they harvest the corn is a cob. So where does the corn go? Well, the corn goes in a hopper or on trucks. And then the cob is left in the field. And then it goes to the grain bins. And then from there, it is shipped to a factory. And it is processed. When it is all processed, then the trucks will come and get the processed food. And they take and they deliver it to the shopping centers. There's your shopping cart, and then you put your favorite cereal in your shopping cart, and there you have it. There's your chain. And it's called From Tassel to Table. That's what that activity is called. Okay, I know I'm talking, I'm way over your break. Oh, a couple more things, and then I'll hush. So you're going to get this, but I don't know how you'll ever get it in copy, but I'll be glad to make a copy. I'll show you what mine looks like. Depending on the day, if it's in the fall, if I think it's not going to be too hot, we go outside. In the springtime, I love to go because that's when more storms you see. I have made this, and so you've got a window, so the kids face it this way, and then they can see the different kinds of clouds on the sheet of paper. And they look through the window and try to tell me which cloud they think that they see out there. Of course, we talk about the clouds. And clouds and rain is all important for growing our food. We talk about the water cycle. You will receive, so we draw on the bag. Let's see. Where is it? There is your pattern. And then you put the paper inside your bag, and then you draw it. Put water in there, stick it up in the window, tape it up in your classroom window, and you can watch it do its thing. Sometimes they put gravel, like aquarium rocks in the bottom. So, and you will receive that. Okay. I'm way over, and I'm done. So if you have any questions, okay, we're going to take just a 10-minute break. So if you have any questions, please, if you would like one of these bags, we'll be glad to mail them to you. I'll be glad to mail them to you. Just leave them your address so we'll know where to mail it to. And then I hope you enjoy. Thanks.